As the night deepened, the cabin's warmth wrapped around Walvis and her pups like a comforting blanket. The fire crackled steadily in the fireplace, casting dancing shadows that flickered across the walls. The pups, exhausted from the day's journey and exploration, had quickly fallen into a deep, peaceful sleep. Their small, rhythmic breathing was a soothing lullaby, a reminder of the precious lives she was determined to protect. Walvis sat by the fire, her eyes scanning the cabin and the surrounding forest through the small window. The forest was dark, but the moonlight cast a silver sheen over the snow-covered landscape, making the world outside look almost magical in its stillness. She took a moment to appreciate the quiet, a rare gift in their turbulent lives. Despite the comfort of the cabin, Walvis knew that their situation remained precarious. The forest, while offering shelter and resources, was still a place of unpredictable dangers. She needed to be vigilant, ready to respond to any threats that might arise. The cabin was a welcome respite, but it was not a permanent solution. They would need to continue exploring, foraging, and preparing for the challenges ahead. As the fire began to wane, Walvis placed another log on it, ensuring that the warmth would last through the night. She took stock of the supplies they had found and made a mental note of what they would need to procure in the coming days. The cans of food and firewood would provide a good start, but they would need to be resourceful and proactive to ensure their long-term survival. With the fire crackling softly and the pups resting comfortably, Walvis allowed herself a rare moment of relaxation. She curled up near the hearth, her body instinctively positioning itself to provide warmth and protection for her pups. Her eyes grew heavy, but her mind remained alert, ever watchful for any signs of danger. In the quiet of the cabin, Walvis reflected on the journey that had brought them here. The challenges they had faced and the kindness of the stranger had shaped their path, leading them to this temporary sanctuary. It was a small victory, a moment of peace amidst the chaos of the forest, and while the future remained uncertain, she took comfort in the progress they had made and the hope that guided them forward. As the fire's glow dimmed and the cabin settled into the quiet of the night, Walvis felt a deep sense of gratitude and determination. They had found a place of safety, however brief, and she was resolved to make the most of it. With her pups secure and the promise of new days ahead, Walvis closed her eyes, allowing the warmth of the fire and the comfort of her little family to lull her into a restful sleep. The forest outside remained silent and still, a world of beauty and danger wrapped in the cold embrace of winter. But within the cabin's walls, there was a fragile peace, a sanctuary that offered a glimmer of hope in the face of uncertainty. And as the night wore on, Walvis dreamed of a future where safety and security were not just fleeting moments, but a lasting reality for her and her pups. For now, they had found a small measure of peace, and that was enough to carry them through the night. The forest would continue to test them, but Walvis was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead with courage and resilience. For her and her pups, this was the beginning of a new chapter, a chance to rebuild, explore, and embrace the possibilities of a world still full of promise. The Unlikely Alliance. Captain Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the UES Intrepid, her eyes fixed on the swirling vortex of blue and white that was the Alcubierre Drive's warp bubble. The stars stretched into lines of light as the ship hurtled through space, carrying humanity's last hope for survival. "ETA to the Zarkoni homeworld, Lieutenant," Sarah asked, her voice steady despite the weight of their mission. Lieutenant Raj Patel glanced up from his console. 3 hours, Captain. We'll be dropping out of warp just outside their defense perimeter." Sarah nodded, her mind racing through the countless ways it could go wrong. Humanity had never made official contact with the Zarkoni. All they knew came from long-range observations and intercepted communications. But desperate times called for desperate measures. The Void Swarm had appeared 6 months ago, emerging from the depths of intergalactic space. At first, they were mistaken for a natural phenomenon, a cloud of dark matter perhaps. But then the attacks began. Entire colonies on the fringes of human space vanished overnight, leaving behind only silence and the haunting fractal patterns etched into nearby asteroids. Sarah inclined her head respectfully. "High Commander, we thank you for your welcome. I only wish our first meeting could have been under better circumstances." Zexalo's crest rippled, an expression Sarah couldn't interpret. "Indeed, it seems we have much to discuss. The Void Swarm is a threat to all sentient life. Our historians speak of their previous incursion, eons ago. We had hoped they would never return." "We found references to that time in ruins on our world," Sarah said. "It's why we sought you out. Our weapons are useless against the swarm, but yours can hurt them." The High Commander was silent for a long moment, his multifaceted eyes studying the human delegation. Finally, he spoke. "For countless cycles, we have watched your species. We saw your wars, your struggles, your triumphs. Many among us believed you to be too volatile, too unpredictable to join the galactic community." Sarah tensed, prepared to argue humanity's case, but Zexalo held up a hand. "But today," he continued, "we saw another side of humanity. We saw courage, adaptability, and a willingness to aid those who might have been your enemies. Perhaps there is hope for an alliance after all." Relief washed over Sarah, but she kept her composure. "High Commander, humanity would be honored to stand beside the Zarkoni against this threat. We may be young as a spacefaring species, but we have much to offer." Zexalo's crest fluttered in what Sarah was beginning to suspect was amusement. "Of that, I have no doubt, Captain Chen. Come, let us discuss how we might combine our strengths. The Void Swarm will return, and when they do, we must be ready." As Sarah followed the Zarkoni delegation deeper into their ship, she felt a glimmer of hope. The road ahead would be difficult, fraught with danger and cultural misunderstandings. But together, perhaps they stood a chance against the darkness that threatened to engulf them all. The unlikely alliance of humans and Zarkoni was about to face its first true test. The Battle of Proxima Centauri loomed on the horizon, and with it, the fate of two civilizations hung in the balance. The Battle of Proxima Centauri. The war room aboard the Zarkoni flagship, eternal radiance, hummed with tension. Holographic displays flickered, showing the strategic layout of the Proxima Centauri system. Captain Sarah Chen stood beside High Commander Zexalo, both leaders studying the tactical projections with grim determination. "The Void Swarm's attack pattern has shifted," Sarah observed, gesturing to the swirling mass of darkness engulfing the outer planets. "They're no longer just consuming, they're coordinating." Zexalo's crest rippled in agreement. "Indeed, it seems our combined resistance has forced them to evolve. A concerning development." Lieutenant Raj Patel cleared his throat, drawing their attention. "Captain, Commander, we've finished analyzing the data from the last engagement. It appears the swarm is attempting to establish a beachhead in the system. If they succeed, they'll have a staging ground for an assault on Earth and the Zarkoni homeworld." Sarah finished, her voice grim. Zexalo's multifaceted eyes glinted. "Then we must not allow it. Captain Chen, your species has shown remarkable adaptability. What do you propose?" Sarah studied the holographic display, her mind racing. "The swarm's new coordination suggests a central intelligence. If we can locate and neutralize it, we might be able to throw them into disarray." "An audacious plan," Zexalo mused. "But how do you intend to find this intelligence within the chaos of the swarm?" A slow smile spread across Sarah's face. "With a little human ingenuity and Zarkoni technology. Lieutenant Patel, Dr. Wong, I need you both on this." Hours later, the combined fleet of human and Zarkoni ships hung in the void near Proxima Centauri, the system's only habitable planet. The Void Swarm roiled on the edge of sensor range, a writhing mass of darkness preparing for its final push. Aboard the UES Intrepid, Sarah took a deep breath. "All ships, this is Captain Chen. You all know the plan. It's risky, it's unconventional, but it's our best shot. Human ships will run interference while the Zarkoni vessels deploy the resonance pulse. Once the swarm's control node is exposed, all ships are to concentrate fire on that point. Good hunting and Godspeed. As Sarah finished speaking, the fleet burst into action. Human ships, smaller and more maneuverable than their Zarkoni counterparts, darted forward. They weaved through the tendrils of the swarm, weapons blazing. Their attacks did little damage, but they weren't meant to. They were the bait, drawing the swarm's attention. Behind them, the Zarkoni ships moved into position. Their sleek hulls gleamed as they powered up the experimental weapon Dr. Wong and the Zarkoni scientists had cobbled together. A massive quantum resonance pulse generator. Zarkoni fleet, status report, Sarah called out. High Commander Zexor's voice crackled over the comm. Resonance pulse at 85% charge, Captain. We will be ready to fire in approximately 3 of your Earth minutes. Sarah nodded, even though Zexor couldn't see her. Understood. All human ships, prepare for Phase 2. On my mark, execute Maneuver Omega-3. The battle raged around them. Human ships danced and weaved, taking hits but staying just out of the swarm's grasp. Sarah watched the tactical display, her heart pounding. They only had one shot at this. Resonance pulse charged, Zexor announced. Firing in 3, 2, 1. A wave of golden energy burst forth from the Zarkoni ships, washing over the void swarm. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, like oil separating from water, the swarm began to split apart. At its center, a pulsing node of dark energy became visible. There's our target, Sarah breathed. All ships, concentrate fire on the exposed node. Human fleet, execute Maneuver Omega-3 now. The human ships broke off their attack runs, regrouping into a tight formation. As one, they accelerated towards the heart of the swarm, weapons primed. Captain, Raj called out, his voice tense. The resonance field is collapsing. We have maybe 30 seconds before the node is shielded again. Sarah gripped her command chair. Then we make those seconds count. All ships, give it everything you've got. The combined firepower of the human and Zarkoni fleets converged on the exposed node. Lances of energy and streams of quantum-tipped missiles pounded the pulsing heart of the swarm. For a moment, it seemed like it wasn't enough. The darkness began to close in again, tendrils reaching out to envelop the attacking ships. Then, with a silent flash that lit up the system like a newborn star, the node exploded. The shockwave rippled through the swarm, and before their eyes it began to disintegrate. Without its controlling intelligence, the void swarm reverted to mindless particles, dissipating into the void. A cheer went up across the fleet. They had done it. They had won. But the victory came at a cost. As the adrenaline of battle faded, Sarah took stock of their losses. Nearly a third of the human ships had been destroyed or damaged beyond repair. The Zarkoni had fared better, but even their advanced technology couldn't completely protect them from the swarm's fury. As the fleet regrouped, Sarah received a transmission from High Commander Zexor. The Zarkoni leader's crest was drooping with exhaustion, but his eyes shone with a newfound respect. Captain Chen, he said, his gravelly voice filled with emotion. Your plan was unorthodox, risky, but effective. You have shown us that sometimes the unconventional path is the correct one. Sarah smiled tiredly. Thank you, High Commander. But this victory belongs to all of us. Human ingenuity combined with Zarkoni technology and bravery from both our peoples. Together, we're stronger than we ever could be apart. Zexor's crest rippled in agreement. Indeed, perhaps there is hope for our alliance yet. He paused, his multifaceted eyes studying Sarah. But Captain, I fear this is only the beginning. The void swarm we faced today, I believe it was merely a scout force. Sarah's smile faded, replaced by grim determination. Then we'll be ready for the main invasion. We've proven we can hurt them, stop them. Now we just need to find a way to end this threat once and for all. As the fleet began the long process of repairs and recovery, Sarah couldn't help but feel a mix of pride and apprehension. They had won a significant victory, but the war was far from over. The hunt for the swarm's true hive mind loomed before them, a challenge that would test their newfound alliance to its limits. But looking out at the blended fleet of human and Zarkoni ships, Sarah felt a glimmer of hope. Together, they had accomplished the impossible, and together, they would face whatever challenges lay ahead. The Battle of Proxima Centauri was over. The hunt for the hive mind was about to begin. "You bring war to our doorstep," the lead ethereal, who had introduced itself as the overseer, projected. Its thoughts carried a weight of sadness and resignation. Sarah stepped forward, her mind open and her intentions clear. "We bring a warning and a request for aid. The Void Swarm threatens all life in the galaxy. We need your help to locate its hive mind so we can end this threat once and for all." The Overseer's form flickered, its colors darkening. "We have felt the echoes of the swarm's hunger across the stars. It is a blight upon the tapestry of consciousness. But to actively oppose it, the cost would be great." "The cost of inaction would be greater," Zexor interjected, his thoughts tinged with urgency. "Overseer, surely you can see the truth of our words, feel the honesty of our intentions." The ethereals conferred among themselves, their energetic forms intertwining in a dance of light and thought. Finally, the Overseer turned back to the delegation. "We will aid you," it projected, "but not in the way you expect. We cannot simply point to a spot on your star charts and say there is your enemy. The hive mind exists as much in the realm of thought as in physical space. To find it, you must learn to perceive as we do." Sarah frowned. "I'm not sure I understand." The Overseer's form pulsed gently. "We will teach you to see beyond the veil of ordinary reality. A select few among you will undergo the awakening. With these new senses, you may perceive the swarm's psychic trail and follow it to its source." Excitement and apprehension rippled through the delegation. Sarah exchanged glances with her team, seeing her own mix of emotions reflected in their eyes. "Who among us will undergo this awakening?" she asked. The Overseer's energy tendrils reached out, gusting over the assembled humans and Zarkoni. The human called Emily Wong, whose mind already teems with curiosity about the unknown. The Zarkoni scientist, Bexara, whose logical mind will provide balance. And you, Captain Chen, whose leadership and determination will be crucial in the trials to come. Sarah took a deep breath, squaring her shoulders. "We accept, whatever it takes to stop the swarm." The next few weeks were a blur of intense training and mind-bending experiences. Sarah, Emily, and Vexara underwent a grueling regimen of psychic exercises and consciousness-expanding rituals. They learned to perceive the universe in ways they had never imagined, to sense the ebb and flow of thought and energy across vast distances. It was during one of these sessions, as they floated in a meditative trance, that Sarah felt it. A cold, hungry presence at the edges of her awareness. The hive mind. The siege of Earth. The void of space rippled and tore as the UES Intrepid dropped out of warp, flanked by its Zarkoni escorts. Captain Sarah Chen's eyes widened as she took in the scene before her. Earth, humanity's cradle, hung in space like a blue marble, but it was surrounded by a writhing mass of darkness that seemed to devour the very stars around it. "My God," Sarah breathed. "We're too late." High Commander Zexor's voice crackled over the comm. "Not yet, Captain Chen. The swarm has not yet breached the planet's defenses. There is still time." Sarah nodded, steeling herself. "All ships, battle stations. This is what we've been preparing for. Today, we make our stand." As the fleet moved into position, Sarah felt a familiar pressure building behind her eyes. The psychic abilities gifted to her by the ethereals surged to life, allowing her to sense the vast, alien consciousness of the Void Swarm. It was closer now than ever before, its hunger an almost palpable force. "Dr. Wong's status report," Sarah called out. Emily Wong's voice was tense but controlled. "The hive mind is definitely here, Captain. I can feel it, directing the swarm. It's like a massive, malevolent spider at the center of a web. Then that's our target, Sarah said grimly. Zexalor, is the resonance pulse generator ready? Affirmative, Captain, the Zarkoni commander replied. But I must warn you, at this scale, the energy required is immense. We will only have one shot at this. Sarah's jaw tightened. Then we make it count. All ships, prepare for engagement. Human vessels, form up in delta formation. Zarkoni ships, take up flanking positions. We need to create an opening for the resonance pulse. As the orders were relayed, Sarah reached out with her newfound senses, trying to gauge the swarm's intentions. What she felt chilled her to the bone. The hive mind was aware of them, its vast intellect focusing on their small fleet with terrifying intensity. The battle erupted with a fury that seemed to shake the very fabric of space. Human and Zarkoni ships darted and weaved through the tendrils of the swarm, their weapons blazing. The void lit up with explosions and energy discharges, a deadly dance of light and shadow. On Earth's surface, millions watched the sky with a mixture of fear and hope. The battle that would decide the fate of their world, of all worlds, played out like a cosmic light show above their heads. Captain, Ray's voice cut through the chaos of the bridge. We're detecting multiple breaches in Earth's defense grid. The swarm is launching ground invasions. Sarah's heart raced. They were running out of time. Divert half of our fleet to support Earth's defenses. The rest of us will continue to engage the main body of the swarm. As the battle raged on, Sarah felt something shift in the psychic landscape. The hive mind was changing, adapting. With a start, she realized what was happening. It's learning, she breathed. The hive mind is assimilating our tactics, our technology. If we don't end this soon, we'll lose our advantage. Zexor's voice came through, strained but determined. Captain Chen, we've identified a weakness in the swarm's formation. If we strike now, we might be able to create an opening for the resonance pulse. Sarah nodded. All ships, this is it. Converge on these coordinates. Hit them with everything we've got. Her eyes snapped open, meeting the glowing gaze of the overseer. We found it, she gasped. The ethereal's form brightened. Then your true test begins now, Seekers. Follow the trail, but be wary. The void hungers, and it will not give up its secrets easily. As Sarah and her team prepared to depart, armed with their new abilities and a sense of purpose, she couldn't shake a feeling of foreboding. They had found the path to the heart of their enemy, but what horrors would they face along the way? The hunt for the hive mind had begun in earnest. But as the Intrepid and its Zarkoni escorts set off into the unknown, guided by the newly awakened senses of its crew, Sarah wondered if they were the hunters or the hunted. Little did they know that their journey would lead them back to where it all began, and that the final battle for the fate of the galaxy would unfold in the skies above humanity's birthplace, Earth. The combined fleet surged forward, pouring fire into a single point in the swarm's defenses. For a moment, it seemed like they were making progress. The darkness parted, revealing the pulsing core of the hive mind. Zarkoni fleet, fire the resonance pulse now, Sarah ordered. A beam of golden energy lanced out from the Zarkoni flagship, striking the exposed core of the swarm. For a breathless moment, everything seemed to hang in the balance. Then, with a silent scream that echoed through the minds of every psychically awakened individual, the hive mind recoiled. But it wasn't enough. The wound in the swarm began to close, darkness flowing back to cover the vulnerable core. No. Sarah slammed her fist on the arm of her chair. We were so close. As despair threatened to overwhelm her, Sarah felt a gentle touch on her mind. It was Emily, her psychic presence a beacon of calm in the chaos. Captain, Emily said, her voice filled with sudden realization. I think I know why the resonance pulse wasn't strong enough. The hive mind, it's not just controlling the swarm. It's drawing power from every being it's consumed, including Including the humans it took from our colonies, Sarah finished, a cold dread settling in her stomach. We're fighting our own people. The revelation sent shockwaves through the fleet. The Zarkoni, in particular, seemed shaken by this news. Sarah could sense their revulsion, their horror at the idea of such a violation. But in that moment of despair, Sarah had an epiphany. She reached out with her mind, touching the consciousnesses of Emily, Vexara, and every other psychically awakened individual in the fleet. The final gambit. The war room of the UES Intrepid hummed with tension. Holograms flickered, displaying the last known trajectory of the wounded Void swarm. Captain Sarah Chen stood at the center, her eyes fixed on the swirling patterns of light that represented their elusive enemy. "We've tracked the hive mind to this sector," Sarah said, gesturing to a cluster of stars near the galactic core. "It's gathering strength, consuming everything in its path. If we don't stop it now..." High Commander Zexdor finished her thought, his voice grave. "It will return, stronger than ever. And this time, it won't stop at Earth." Dr. Emily Wong stepped forward, her eyes glowing faintly with the power granted by the ethereals. "The psychic echo of the hive mind is different now. Angry, hurt, but also afraid." Sarah nodded, a grim smile playing across her lips. "Good, it should be afraid, because we're going to end this, once and for all." The plan they devised was audacious, bordering on insane. It relied on every advantage they had gained, every lesson they had learned in their long war against the swarm. Human ingenuity, Zarkoni technology, and the psychic gifts of the ethereals would all play a crucial role. As the combined fleet of human and Zarkoni ships prepared for the final assault, Sarah addressed her crew and allies. Her words were broadcast across the fleet, a rallying cry for the last, desperate push. "Today, we face our greatest challenge," she began, her voice steady and strong. "The Void Swarm has threatened not just our worlds, but all life in the galaxy. It has consumed countless beings, extinguished entire civilizations. But today, we say, no more." She paused, looking around at the determined faces of her crew. "We are not just fighting for ourselves. We fight for every life the swarm has taken, for every world it has destroyed. We fight for a future where our children can look up at the stars with wonder, not fear." "We have come so far together," she continued, nodding to Zexala. "Humans and Zarkoni, once strangers, now brothers and sisters in arms. We have learned, grown, and become more than we ever thought possible. And now we will use everything we have gained to strike down this threat, once and for all. The path ahead is dangerous. Many of us may not return. But know this, every sacrifice, every act of courage, brings us one step closer to victory. Together, we are more than a fleet. We are the galaxy's last best hope, and together we will prevail." A cheer went up across the fleet, a sound of defiance against the encroaching darkness. As one, the Armada jumped to warp, hurtling towards their final confrontation with destiny. They emerged in a maelstrom of cosmic energy. The Void Swarm had positioned itself near a massive black hole, drawing power from the intense gravitational forces. The sight was both terrifying and awe-inspiring, a swirling vortex of darkness against the backdrop of newborn stars. "All ships, battle formations," Sarah ordered, her voice calm despite the chaos unfolding before them. "Zarkoni fleet, prepare the resonance pulse. Human ships, stand by to create an opening." As the fleet engaged, Sarah reached out with her mind, connecting with Emily, Vexara, and the other psychically awakened individuals. Together, they probed the defenses of the hive mind, searching for weaknesses. The battle that followed was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Ships danced through space, weaving impossible patterns as they dodged tendrils of void energy. The resonance pulse fired again and again, each blast weakening the swarm's defenses. But it wasn't enough. The hive mind, drawing power from the black hole, seemed to shrug off their attacks. Its counterattacks grew stronger, more precise, decimating entire squadrons with each passing moment. "It's too strong." Zexloa's voice crackled over the comm. "We can't get close enough to deliver a killing blow." Sarah gritted her teeth, her mind racing. Then, in a moment of clarity, she saw the solution. It was risky, potentially suicidal, but it was their only chance. "All ships, fall back to minimum safe distance," she ordered. "Intrepid will proceed alone." "Captain," Ray's voice was filled with confusion and concern. "What are you planning?" Sarah's eyes were fixed on the swirling vortex of the black hole. "We're going to give the hive mind exactly what it wants. More power than it can handle." Understanding dawned on her crew's faces. It was insane, but it just might work. The Intrepid surged forward, its advanced engines straining as it pushed deeper into the gravity well. The Void Swarm, sensing easy prey, turned its full attention to the lone ship. "Divert all power to shields and the resonance pulse generator," Sarah commanded. "We'll only get one shot at this." As they drew closer to the event horizon, the ship groaned and shuddered. Warning klaxons blared as systems began to fail under the intense gravitational stress. Sarah reached out with her mind one last time, touching the consciousness of every being in the fleet. "Now," she projected, her mental voice a clarion call that cut through the chaos. In that moment, every psychically awakened individual focused their will on a single point: the resonance pulse generator. The device, already pushed beyond its limits, surged with power it was never designed to handle. The Intrepid fired, a beam of pure golden energy lancing out towards the heart of the Void Swarm. But this was no ordinary attack. Empowered by the combined will of countless minds and supercharged by the gravitational energies of the black hole, the pulse struck the hive mind with the force of a supernova. The swarm's scream of agony echoed across space and through the minds of all present. Its vast form began to unravel, the billions of consciousnesses it had consumed finally breaking free. But the battle wasn't over. The Intrepid, caught in the gravitational pull of the black hole, was being torn apart. Sarah and her crew fought desperately to break free, their ship groaning and buckling around them. Just when all seemed lost, a tractor beam latched onto the Intrepid. Sarah looked up to see the Zarkoni flagship, straining against the black hole's pull, slowly dragging them to safety. As they cleared the gravity well, Sarah saw the last remnants of the Void Swarm dissipate into harmless particles. It was over. They had won. The aftermath of the battle was a time of both celebration and solemn reflection. The cost had been high, but the threat of the Void Swarm was finally truly gone. In the months that followed, the alliance between humans and Zarkoni grew stronger than ever. Together, they began the long process of healing the scars left by the war and reaching out to the countless beings who had been freed from the swarm's control. Standing on the observation deck of the newly rebuilt Intrepid, Sarah Chen looked out at the stars. The galaxy seemed vaster now, filled with new possibilities and potential allies. They had faced the darkness and emerged stronger, more united. As if sensing her thoughts, Zexlo joined her at the viewport. "What do you see out there, Captain Chen?" he asked, his multifaceted eyes reflecting the starlight. Sarah smiled, an expression of wonder and determination. "I see the future, High Commander, and it's brighter than ever." Together, human and Zarkoni stood side by side, ready to face whatever new adventures the cosmos might bring. The Void Swarm was gone, but the spirit of cooperation and determination that had defeated it would endure, a beacon of hope for all sentient life in the galaxy.